Ever thought about weird geological formations? If not, you should. Geology has a way of messing with your mind, creating surreal shapes and pounding your perceptions. It may seem impossible, but there's an explanation behind even the freakiest formation. I'm here to give you the lowdown on limestone and the surprising truth about salt. It's about to get geological with a tour of some unforgettable destinations around the world. I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 weird geological formations that look impossible. 25. Wave Rock. This may look like an ocean wave, but it isn't. Put your surfboards away because you are looking at a rock formation. Wave Rock is a 15-meter high chunk of granite-flavored weirdness found in Hayden, Western Australia. It's around 110 meters long and is estimated at 3 billion years old. So, what caused this wave that's not a wave to break? The answer is rain, which led to erosion. If it rains long enough, it erodes even the toughest materials like rock. This produces spectacular results, almost like Mother Nature is working as a sculptor. Don't try and surf this thing. It isn't point break. In fact, the only point you will break is the one on your elbow. 24. Thor's Hammer. Look at this crazy geological formation. What caused that? Or a better question is, who did that? Or, to be more accurate, who do that? Because that's what this thing is called, a hoodoo. Shaped like the weapon of a certain Norse god and Marvel character, Thor's Hammer is in Bryce Canyon National Park, Utah. Made from limestone, dolomite, and siltstone, the hammer was formed through centuries of exposure to the weather. At approximately 45 meters high, it shows the mightiest rocks can be beaten by the forces of wind and rain. What's really interesting is why it has the shape of a hammer in the first place. You see, the rock layers are the hardest on top. The lower you go, the softer it gets, meaning the bottom layers erode first. You wind up with an impossible looking feature that'll probably still be there hundreds of years later. 23. Queen's Head. All hail the Queen! Don't stand too close though, as she might fall on top of you. The Queen's Head at Yehilu Geopark in northern Taiwan is a noggin-shaped wonder that looks a lot like a royal silhouette. How was it created? Well, the limestone was eroded by the nearby sea, which washed away the stone until it resembled a neck. Trouble is, it will keep eroding, with experts predicting that the Queen's Head will break off and float away sooner rather than later. Oh well, she had a good run, but all rains must come to an end. 22. Skull Rock. It's amazing what rain can do. Take Skull Rock in California, for example. The park has its very own giant skull made of granite, but no artist was involved in the making of this natural wonder. The so-called eye holes used to be little depressions in the rock. However, over time, rainwater eroded them, making them much larger and deeper. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. The process takes thousands of years. Skull Rock is a key feature at Joshua Tree National Park, and rightly so. It looks like part of the set from King Kong, but it's an all-American attraction to be proud of. 21. Sphinx of Balochistan. You don't have to travel far to see a great sphinx if you live in Pakistan. The real deal is in Egypt, of course, but there's a rock formation that looks a whole lot like one in the southwestern province of Balochistan. Also known fittingly as the Lion of Balochistan, this so-called sphinx is made of sedimentary rock. That means it's soft enough for the elements to mold into different shapes. No human created this sphinx, unlike the famous one in Egypt. It was formed purely by the power of wind and water over a long period of time. Now, some people do believe humans actually sculpted it, but this view has been widely debunked. I'll never look at a piece of stone the same way again. It's interesting how the land and the weather work together to produce stunning natural features. I wonder what's coming up next. 20. Lençóis Maranhenses. Lençóis Maranhenses, or the bed sheets of Maranhão, is a 1,500 square kilometer long stretch of white sand. Naturally, sand comes in grains instead of sheets, though if you look at it from above, it definitely resembles a kind of huge unmade bed. That's down to the ripple effects this desert creates. Hey, did someone wet the bed? No, it's only the lagoons, which are visible between May and September. These are formed by rain showers and are known for their beautiful turquoise coloring. Because there's hard rock under the sand, the water doesn't drain away, making this a very unusual formation. A desert full of water? Who'd have thunk it? The place is thought to be so valuable it was awarded World Heritage status by UNESCO, who recognized its importance in 2024. 19. Horseshoe Bend. You've heard of a bend in the river. Well, our next formation takes that idea to a whole new level. Horseshoe Bend is where the Colorado River bends nearly 270 degrees around the sandstone of the Colorado Plateau. It's like the river took a horseshoe-shaped tour around the cliffs before going in the opposite direction. In fact, Horseshoe Bend formed over millions of years as the water gradually eroded the mighty chunks of rock. Nature provides better special effects than Hollywood, so it made sense for it to be included in a movie. You may recognize the bend from its appearance in the original Planet of the Apes movie from 1968, where it was renamed the Forbidden Zone. 18. The Bungle Range. What would you say this place is? You'd be forgiven for thinking it was some kind of weird kingdom of the bees. However, what you're actually looking at is the Bungle Range in Western Australia, or the Bungles for short. It's over 350 million years old, and wasn't heard of outside indigenous communities until the 80s. The dome-like shapes come from erosion, where wind and water slowly created the range, which reaches a height of 820 feet above sea level. What about those orange and gray stripes that give it a beehive-style appearance? They happen due to chemical and biological reactions. The sandstone absorbs moisture, then, as it dries out, it reveals its mineral composition through the colors. Gray means clay, which locks in more moisture, while orange means iron, which goes through oxidation when the sun hits it. The Bungles is a magical place that's of great significance to the Aboriginal peoples. 17. La Ciudad Encantada. This name translates as the Enchanted City, and you can visit it in Castilla-La Mancha, a community in central Spain. Why is it so enchanted? Well, check out the natural rock formations to find out why. There are so many crazy and unusual shapes here, you could be standing in a modern art exhibition. Thankfully, you're not. All this amazing work was done entirely by erosion from wind and rain, which shaped the limestone plateau. You can make out people, animals, random objects, and even buildings in the Enchanted City. There's the soldier, the camel, the Roman bridge, and also mighty mushroom-shaped structures. This place is a major draw for tourists and geology fans. There's something for everyone, as long as you enjoy rocks. 16. Genbudo Park. Genbudo Park is one of the most intriguing and iconic locations in Japan. Located on the island of Honshu, its name means basalt cave. And believe me, there is a whole lot of basalt here. By the way, in case you're wondering what basalt is, it's hardened volcanic lava. This place was created out of an erupting volcano, which then cooled. Genbudo Park is more than just a cave system. The 5 caves are actually part of huge columns which formed from the lava over 1 million years ago. Because the lava fractured as it grew cold, it created hexagonal shapes before settling into a honeycomb-like structure. The columns are also in the history books thanks to their role in the discovery of geomagnetic reversal. That's when the magnetic north and south poles of the planet swap over, weakening our overall magnetic field. Without experts studying the caves in Genbudo Park, we wouldn't have proved the existence of this epic phenomenon. Geology is more exciting than it looks. Surely it's thrown all the curveballs it's going to throw, right? Apparently not. Here's another batch of facts that sends our brains right down a rocky road. 15. Hashigui-iwa Rocks. What if a volcano erupts and the rock from that volcano is eroded over millions of years? The answer is Hashigui-iwa Rocks, or bridge pillar rocks. This is a weird geological formation in the coastal town of Kushimoto on Honshu Island. Following the ancient eruption, a landscape of the volcanic material andesite was left behind. The weather then shaped the andesite into striking shapes which resemble a bridge. There are over 40 of these jagged pillars which lead toward the sea, covering a distance of approximately 850 meters. So, Is it a bridge or not? According to legend, it could be an unfinished one. The story goes that a Buddhist monk named Kobudaishi tried to build a bridge in a single night. He did this because he was involved in a bridge building competition with a demon called Amanojaku. Unfortunately, Amanojaku cheated by making the sound of a cockerel. Kobudaishi heard this and thought it was morning already, so he gave up. Of course the demon cheated. He's a demon, right? 14. Lalu. This strange view is what you'd see if you visited Lalu, a rock formation in eastern Thailand. The name Lalu translates in English as pierced, and while there doesn't seem to be much piercing going on, there's definitely a lot of erosion. Various shapes have been formed by the weather, like columns and towers, which were created from the sandstone and soil. These cool shapes exist alongside features such as canyons, gorges, and cliffs, making Lalu a unique destination. No wonder the place is also called the Grand Canyon of Thailand. 13. Kura Tāwhiti. Also known as Castle Hill, Kura Tāwhiti is a sacred site in New Zealand made up of rock formations. It has a fascinating backstory. Different natural forces combine to create the various shapes you see on the plateau, which is on South Island. First, the limestone was formed from particles from the sea floor. Wait a minute, this place is around 700 meters above sea level. How did they get up so high? Well, the land shifted, after which erosion did its thing. The weather was powerful enough to fracture the boulders and reshape them, a process which happened over tens of millions of years. Kura Tāwhiti is Maori for treasure from a distant land, with Castle Hill coming from its resemblance to an ancient castle. The site has a special status called a Topuni status, and it's an important location for the Ngāi tribe. 12. Kelimutu. This next geographical marvel looks like a landscape from Lord of the Rings. I have shirts that are less turquoise than those lakes. Welcome to the volcanic paradise of Kelimutu, found on Flores Island in Indonesia. The mountain is 1,639 meters above sea level, which is impressive enough, but really, I'm intrigued about the water thing. These are crater lakes formed when anything wet builds up inside a crater, like groundwater or snow. Their vivid colors are produced by volcanic gases and minerals which are dissolved in the water. The exact coloring changes depending on what's in the water and also other stuff such as temperature. You can see turquoise, deep blue, and reddish brown across the three lakes, which have names. There's Tiu Atampupu, or Lake of Old People, Tiu Nuamuri Kufai, otherwise known as Lake of Young Men and Maidens, and finally Tiu Atapolo, the Enchanted Lake. Not sure I'd want to take a dip in there. It's more of a scenic wander than a plunge pool. 11. Hangva. Claustrophobic? Well, you might want to give our next impossible place a miss. Hang Va is deep underground in Phong Nha Ke Bang National Park, central Vietnam. You need to venture down about 15 meters to access this incredible cave, which is a karst fan's wonderland. We have a whole bunch of twisty-turny things to see at Hang Va, from tower cones that rise up from the water to shards of limestone that jut down from above. It was all created by erosion, as water penetrated the stone through dissolution. That's where acid in water works on the calcium carbonate in limestone, burning off parts of the structure and leaving some pretty wild shapes in its wake. Have you ever visited any of the places on this list? Were they even better in person? Let us know. Our comment section is always open. 10. Minbu Volcanoes. Volcanoes spew lava, right? Most of the time, however, did you know that they also spit mud? This is what happens with the Minbu mud volcanoes in the Magwe region of central Myanmar. The structures were forced into being by methane gas bursting up from underground. Yes, that's right, the Earth is capable of farting out volcanoes. Let's not dwell too much on that image though. Instead, we'll check out the results, which aren't exactly beautiful, but they are weirdly fascinating. You have gloopy parts where mud bubbles away, and also dried out parts where the ground is cracked. It's been compared by some to images of an alien landscape, though this is a far out place you can actually visit. You need to be careful though, as the volcanoes corrupt like their magma-rich counterparts. They're regarded as safe enough for tourists to set foot on, however, you are advised to take your shoes off to respect religious customs. 9. Bhutan Sausages. What's the connection between geology and sausages? Oh, it's honestly a question I've never thought about before until I saw the mafic Budins of Laya, a village in northwest Bhutan. These are geological features which resemble a string of sausages. They're made when the tectonic plates of the Earth shift, reshaping it through erosion. This is where we come back to the name mafic Budin. Mafic means the material is rich in magnesium and iron, ingredients that have a dramatic effect on its consistency. It becomes ductile, or soft enough to be manipulated into the sausage-like shape. The tectonic activity and erosion split the landscape into long formations that just so happen to look like something you'd see in a butcher's window. Is anyone else getting hungry? Yeah, no, me neither. 8. Sunrise Peak. On the South Korean island of Jeju sits Seongseong-ilchulong, or Sunrise Peak. It isn't much of a peak, it's actually a 5,000-year-old formation called a tuff cone. What's that, and how was it formed? A tuff cone is created when shallow water meets white-hot magma. The results are explosive. A violent event known as a phreatomagmatic eruption happens, jumbling the fragments of rock into a cone shape. The compacted material making up the cone is the tuff. While this geological oddity looks like a dangerous volcano, it's actually had some surprising uses over the years. These include a horse ranch and also storage area for the Japanese Navy. It doesn't have magma inside, but a field of grass, making it tranquil rather than turbulent. 7. Turtle Rock. Our next go-to geological destination is shaped like a turtle and took millions of years to form, which is appropriate since turtles can be very slow on land. I know this is rock that's been shaped by erosion and not by human hand, but even so, what an amazing sight! It's made out of granite too, so it just shows the impact weather can have on the toughest materials. You can see this mighty stone creature at Urgut National Park in north-central Mongolia. Plus, there's more to this feature than being an amusing optical illusion. Turtle Rock is seen as a symbol of good luck and prosperity, so it's a treasured landmark in the area. 6. Danigala Circular Rock. Check out this extraordinary piece of rock, which reminds me of a giant cereal bowl. Of course, there's a lot of history to the Danigala Circular Rock in Madura-Oya National Park in central eastern Sri Lanka. Before it was a bowl, the rock was superheated magma lying under the ground. Over time, it cooled and rose up while erosion gave it that round shape. This is all accidental and not by design, which makes it even weirder. The purpose and significance of Danigala Circular Rock is a mystery. Archaeologists know it was used back in the 2nd century BCE, where it possibly became a setting for rituals. Whatever people used it for, it's a scenic and powerful location, which offers stunning views of the surrounding landscape. 5. The Princess of Hope. Travel to Hingal National Park in Balochistan, Pakistan, and you'll see cliffs, volcanoes made of mud, and... wait a minute, a giant sandstone woman looking out across the horizon? The Princess of Hope is named so because of her rocky figure, and also the way she contrasts with the rest of the park. She, if you can call her that, is a nice contrast to the usual chunks of stone you find in these parts. Someone else who thought that was Angelina Jolie, who gave it the name in the first place. She was visiting the area as a UN Goodwill Ambassador in 2002. While the princess looks elegant, she's actually pretty tough. She was created by erosion, which slowly removed the softer outer layers of the stone, revealing something strong yet beautiful within. 4. The Salt Domes of Iran. Did you know there's salt underground? Layers of prehistoric salt exist beneath our feet, left behind when ancient seas dried out. Pressure from below ground pushes the salt to the surface, but the story doesn't end there. You see, the momentum keeps going, and the huge quantities of salt form into domes. This is a striking geological feature of the Zagros Mountains in Western Asia. It can also be seen in the Persian Gulf between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula. These domes range in size from a regular hill to an enormous salty structure. The color of some of these things is extraordinary, with the high salt content creating shades of white and pink. I don't know about you, but they're making my mouth dry just looking at them. 3. Three Bridges Chasm. What happens when a cavern collapses? It creates a chasm, and the Ba'atara Gorge sinkhole is a spectacular example of this. It's around 255 meters deep and has its own bridges. These rocky walkways are what give the sinkhole its alternative name of Three Bridges Chasm. No one built the bridges, by the way. They were created at random during the collapse. Located in the Lebanese mountains, the limestone chasm also has a special relationship with the nearby Batara River. What do I mean? When the river thaws, it releases a cascade of water that provides the gorge with its very own waterfall. 2. The Trovantii of Costești. Rocks usually stay the same shape, right? Wrong. In Valcea County, south-central Romania, there are a weird bunch of rocks which alter their form after a rain shower. Is this some crazy conspiracy involving rock-based aliens who absorb water? Sadly not, though the truth is equally amazing. The smooth formations are made of sand and clay, bonded together by calcium carbonate. It's this latter element that reacts to the water, making it seem like the rock is moving. In certain situations, the objects can even gain in mass. The rocks are known as Trovantii, from the Romanian Trovant, meaning cemented sand. They're found in the village of Costești, where the second part of the name comes from. Because some of the Trovantii are huge, it must be an unnerving sight as they expand and make little Trovants. How old are they? Well, the rocks are thought to go back millions of years, and some locals believe them to be dinosaur eggs. 1. Roccia dell'Elefante. This has got to be a gag, right? No way has the weather sculpted a rock into the exact shape of an elephant. Nature can be a wonderful thing. Roccia dell'Elefante, or Elephant Rock, is a charming tourist attraction. The quirk of geology is actually a Sardinian boulder that was gradually eroded into a unique formation. Things go from cutesy to sinister when you learn that the rock also contains a couple of ancient tombs. Did the people inside know they were going to wind up inside of an elephant one day? Of course not. When their culture created the chambers, collectively known as a House of the Fairies, they didn't bank on the power of wind and water. You'd have to be a Dumbo to underestimate it. Alright, that's enough of the terrible jokes. I'm off to the Babar for a drink. Weird geology is wild enough. But did you know weather can even be wilder? We're diving into that for our next video, titled 25 Places Where Weather Defies Logic. Prepare to have your judgment clouded and your opinions changed at lightning speed. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon for a whole new list.